Hi, everybody. How is everybody this evening? It is so nice to be here with you in this evening and to join you on. And you know, the first thing that I'm going to do is get everybody a healer. So everybody get ready, and I'm going to go get your healers all lined up, and they'll come. Just a moment, please. Okay, all the healers have stepped up. They will be with you in the evening, bringing you healing. And if there is anyone you want to send healing to, please just send it forward. Ask them to, and put in the names that you would like to have healed while they are with you. So feel free to do that. And now I'm going to get Ronkar. One moment, please. Good evening. It is I, Ronkar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. There have been many changes going on in your lives. You may or may not be aware of some of these changes, for some of them are taking place at a subtle, almost subconscious level. The requirements that your government has placed upon you to remain separate from other people, your requirements to wear masks, which tend to hide your expressions and hide from other people that which they have been readily able to perceive through looking at your face as well as listening to your voices. All these things have sometimes caused difficulties for you in trying to communicate with others, as well as the need to stay at a distance, which has been recommended for you. It is important for you all to be as comfortable within your own selves and your own being as possible. If things are bothering you at this time, it is time for you to adopt a series of affirmations as to your wellness, your wholeness, and all the good characteristics that you wish to example and have manifest in your life. And so I am urging you, if you are fearful in any way, to make affirmations as to your confidence and your knowledge that you are safe, that you are well, and that you will continue to be well because you are strong, healthy people. By affirming these things about yourself, you do actually help to keep your health excellent. Of course, it is also good for you to eat properly and to get proper sleep and to follow all the normal protocols that you must do on the physical plane to ensure the healthy person that you are. And so in this evening, we are not asking you to do anything special other than to be careful to monitor your thoughts, to affirm your wholeness, your wellness, your well-being, that you are strong, that you are healthy, and to not allow yourself to indulge in fearful thoughts. And so we need you to be self-confident. I'm sorry, the inability to speak clearly for a moment has affected my ability to continue to speak clearly for the moment. So as I have nothing extra to say at this point in time, I am just going to ask, are there any questions anyone would like to ask of me at this time?
You know, I always have a question.
Well, that's
and thank you again. We're having a lot of changes within my company. We're going from one ownership to another. And today was a big meeting for my manager, who was pretty distraught afterward because of the pay structure. And there's tension that was building up already, I think, and apprehension on so many levels with the two mergers. They're very diametrically opposite of one another in culture, in the company culture. And so I'd like to hear your take on how to navigate through this, both with the dynamics of my coworkers and the changes within the company, and to rise above it. I know that, like you said, affirmations. For me, it's going to be great. I just know it's going to be great. But the calamity around me, I don't want to get sucked into the whirlpool of that. So I want to keep my head above water, and I'm only focusing on good things, good outcomes for me. But I'd like to hear your take on
Yes,
how things you think will shift in the company and as a whole for our store. Thank you.
I need to ask you for clarification. You use the term the merger of the two companies, but is it not correct that there was an acquisition by the one company over the second company? It is not a merger, but an acquisition?
Well, what happened was there was a parent company that bought out both parties and merged the two companies together. But the parent company owns many different retail chains, us two being one of several that they control. And so when they purchased both companies and then decided that we were going to become the other and take on their name, it gave the other company the leg up to tell us and to dictate what we will become. But they are very different in structure, including what we sold. So it's been an interesting ride, and whatnot. But they did not buy us. A parent company bought both of us and merged us together.
Now I understand the situation. So the question is not as clear, the answer is not as clear as it once was. And so the company which you are changing to that company's name, and that is my understanding, correct?
Yes, it is.
So therefore that company has assumed that their policies are to be followed.
Yes. Yeah.
Or they feel that they were the dominant company. And this
Correct.
is what the discouragement is. All right, so one moment. But in many ways, your question concerned yourself and how not to allow yourself to get sucked into the negativity that may surround you from other coworkers who may not be happy over the arrangements as they were. If you see your job or your position among your coworkers is just to remind them that the new situation is such that it is to their advantage to cooperate and adopt all the new rules and regulations and the new ways of thinking that the dominant company, I will call it, is dictating to you. That way, when you hear people complaining, you can easily say, yes, I understand, and I agree with you in that way, but the truth of the matter is that we have no option but to act in this way, whatever way they were complaining about, what the new management is saying. While this might not be exactly what is expected by the parent company, they chose the other company. I'm sorry, do not know what the names are, but we will say you are company A and company, and we will call them A and B. And B is the other company which now carries your name, and your name is changing to B. And so you need to act as if they are your new employer, if they are truly the dominant company. If things are not successful in using their techniques and their ways, the parent company will step in and demand changes so that you can continue to be a successful company. You understand that. And so if you see your role as reminding people that there is no option for themselves if they wish to remain in their jobs and they wish to progress in the new B company that they have become. I believe that piece of advice and your adhering to the new rules and regulations, whether or not you like them, is the best course of action for yourself. In that way, you are advancing yourself. You are also helping the other employees so that they, to see that it is necessary to conform to the new expectations. Although you did not sign up to be in company B, did not choose to apply to be a part of company B, that is the reality of the situation. You have all been hired essentially by company B. And so it is important for you to, in order to advance within company B, to act as company B wants you to act. It may not be a popular viewpoint, but it is a sensible one. And your coworkers will see that. And by always saying, I understand, I know how you are feeling because I feel that way too. However, I am going to conform to what they say. I am going to do my best to be successful within company B because that is in my own self-interest. And I believe it is in your self-interest to also try to be successful in company B. I think you understand what I have said. Do you feel that this will be helpful for yourself, or do you need more suggestions?
No, thank you, because it reinforces, but the one thing that I wasn't doing was instilling that in others. Letting them talk, but I wasn't really saying to them, look, we have to, all band together and work through this, and we'll come out on the other end all together, better. So I appreciate, thank you for reminding me of that part that yes. I wasn't implementing. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions?
Hello.
This is Donna.
Yes. This is like 3 questions, but it's based on one thing. A while back, you had given us a lecture on hanging out with people that are, well, say negative or have bad habits or whatever, that they would influence us into having bad habits. But I'm wondering, why would this affect our consciousness if our beliefs don't go in that direction? That's one question. Then the other thing is, does it also work the other way around? That if we are not negative, would they pick up on that also? And the third one is, can you stop being influenced by others?
Of course. You can stop being influenced by others. Yes, they can pick up your attitudes and will pick up your attitudes if they are understood to be helpful in the long run. And the first part of the question was, I'd forgotten already. First 3, if you had paused, I would have answered them much easier one at a time. Would you repeat the first question?
How do we stop ourselves from being influenced by them? And why does our, how are they able to affect us if this is not our belief?
You do not have to be affected. It is just that the tendency is for you to be affected because you are hanging around with, we will say, people who have different viewpoints. Depending upon many differences in your viewpoints, where it was and how strongly you are in your grounded in yourself depends upon how easily you are swayed by others. If you are grounded in your beliefs, if you know what you believe, and you are determined, you will hang on to your beliefs. You will not be swayed. You will simply maybe pick up other bad habits rather than changing your beliefs. You may pick up a bad, if they are complaining all the time, you may complain all the time, even though you have not changed your beliefs and you're not changing your beliefs, but you might pick up that habit. We are not looking at total transformations by hanging out with people who are different from yourself, diametrically opposed to things that you believe. These things all do not come into being. That will not happen. If you are strong in your beliefs, if you know who you are, and you are well grounded, you may be the stronger person and are more able to influence the beliefs of these other people. But it is possible that will not happen, and you will just have to simply agree to believe differently from one another. Agree to disagree, I believe is the phrase. You will simply do that when it comes to your beliefs. But if there are bad habits to be picked up, such as eating improperly or having a snack at in the evening, or always stopping for a cup of coffee and a piece of cake, you may pick up that habit. So you just need to be careful when you are associating with people that are very different from yourself. And if you don't particularly like them, it is really more important for you to have associations infrequently and try to distance yourself from that individual, because you will only find them tiresome, annoying, if they are totally talking about in ways that are opposite to your own beliefs.
Actually, the overweight thing was what made me think of this, because after I thought about what you said, I'm like, wait a minute, I've got a lot of fat people that I've been friends with for umpteen years, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
And you are not going to be fat because you do not choose to do that. And you will probably make a slight impression on them to the point where maybe they will be less likely to gain more weight, because you're not interested in stopping for a piece of pie and coffee.
Right. I mean, they could stop. I'm like, fine, but I just don't want anything.
Right. But because you don't want anything, they may decide, well, this time they won't stop. And you
Once in a while.
was for the influence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. So we do influence them too, then. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, the tendency always is for the lower to go to the higher activity or the higher way of thinking.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
That way we slowly make things better. However, you have seen instances in the recent past with rioting and demonstrations that when people misbehave, it also gives permission to others to misbehave, particularly if they do not see consequences for misbehavior.
Yes, I've seen that.
So
I
that
didn't
is
understand it, but I saw it.
yes. You see it a lot among children.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Why'd you do that? Well, the other one did it.
Yes, absolutely. And oh, they're running around screaming. That looks like fun. I think I'll run around and scream too.
Yep. And then their mother looks at them like, that's not my child.
Doesn't matter. Yes. What is going on here? This is not normal.
Right. Okay. All righty. Thank you very much. I just wanted to get that straightened out.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much for asking.
Okay.
Does
Norma,
anyone-
this is Tanya. I have a question. I mean, Ron Carr. I have a question.
Yes.
when you spoke of positive affirmations, are you familiar with EFT? And if so, why would tapping acupressure points help to make affirmations more strong, for lack of a better word?
There is a belief, and it is somewhat accurate, that because people learn differently, there are people who can listen and learn a lot. There are people who need to see things written down and learn a lot. There are people who do better if they are working with their hands. So what we are seeing in EFT is there is the affirmations, but you're taking action and you are tapping this spot, and you have a belief that it will be more strong if you tap the spot and take this action. And as a result, if you believe something is going to make your affirmation more strong, it does. Secondly, it may also move into your system more easily because you are associating a movement and doing something with these words at the same time. It becomes like someone speaking louder. Do you understand? Sometimes if there's a lot of things going on, the person who is shouting the loudest is the one you're going to listen to. And so you yourself, by taking this action and telling yourself this, you are making it more important to yourself. And that is why EFT seems to work. There can be many debates as to aspects of EFT on whether they are helpful or harmful. These are just a matter of opinion. And my suggestion is do what works for you. Now, I have always suggested to others and to people that if they find themselves on negative thoughts, which are not helpful to them thoughts, that they always stop, cancel the thought, and make an affirmation which is contradictory to that thought. So if you think, if you should even say something very simple, like you're frustrated because you were having trouble doing something, and you make a statement such as, I am so stupid that I can't get this finished. Well, that's a very bad thing for you to say about yourself. And so you have to cancel that thought and just say, I am having difficulty with this, but I will get it done right and correctly. It will become easier and easier the more I practice. And so you cancel that thought of telling yourself that you're stupid, which undermines your abilities and your strengths. You have to be careful of your words. Words they do have lots of meaning, and they have the meanings to yourself more strong than they have an effect on other people, more strongly, than they have an effect on other people. So you must be very careful not to express negative thoughts about yourself, and to always cancel them and replace them with positive thoughts. Along this line, this is also true for all the actions that you take or you are experienced during the day. When you have experienced something negative, you can counteract it by making positive statements to yourself as to your ability to do something properly, or just to make a positive statement that this is a temporary situation which is on the mend immediately now, and we will no longer be experiencing this in my life, or I will no longer be experiencing this in my life, whatever it is. Did I make sense?
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Are there other questions?
I have a question. This is Nancy, Norma, wrong car. Following on both your conversations with Donna and Tanya somewhat, I don't listen to a lot of news, but I do read the news feeds that come up on my phone about the coronavirus and the progression, etc. certainly, we are each responsible for the level of energy of our own thoughts and emotions. I feel that the media has been very irresponsible and have actually frightened many people to their deaths, because of the way they have covered the coronavirus for the last few months. Of course, we cannot look outside of ourselves and expect to change anything, but is there any chance that enough of us will look inside of ourselves and choose enough positive that we could possibly affect the media and the way that they report things?
You are giving yourself a large challenge to try and affect the media and the way they report things. I am considering what it is possible for you to do. And of course, you could always gather friends and neighbors, or make a petition and send it out to a TV station, or a radio station, or a radio host that may be saying things. You could always ask it, and within this position, tell them that we do not believe that they are doing responsible reporting, and you want them to quit their job, or something similar along that line, to write to their boss and say that this person should be fired because he is not doing his job properly. He is not objective. Now, this probably will not help. It probably will not get you anywhere. You can simply you are not listening to these media sources for the most part. It sounds you are simply reading them off your phone, and all you can really do is not let them affect you, and to say, I honestly, this is a difficult one to make a difference. It's going to be very hard for you on a personal level to affect the news media as a
Can I
whole.
ask you a question then about a statement that you made in speaking with Donna or Tanya? You said that the lower vibration, lower energy level naturally will gravitate to the higher one. Why is it so hard for the media to do that?
Oh, they have an agenda, which has nothing to do with them being accurate newscasters or giving something. It is very obvious that they simply want to make things look as bad as possible, because for much of the news media, they dislike the current president. The forthcoming election is their opportunity to make a change in the country. And so they are emphasizing the negative aspects, as many as they possibly can, to make everyone dislike the current president and vote for someone else. That is their motivation. They are not seeking to be honest media or news sources where they once upon a time tried to report news objectively. So your current media are not news people. They are simply
Actors.
propagandists.
Actors.
Politicians.
Well, they are propagandists. They are in charge of spreading the propaganda because they believe that they are making a change. They wish to make a change that they feel will be beneficial to the world, because they dislike your current president, Mr. Trump, very much. And they dislike the Republicans where they are in charge of things. There is an antipathy that goes on. Most of them are not reporting news accurately, or they are definitely slanting the news. They are often making the news and creating things. This has been the way of news media for quite some time. Maybe you did not notice it in the past, but often news media, they do create the news. Because how often do you hear of people doing good things and having successful things happening?
Exactly. And how could they possibly think that they are serving in any beneficial way the American public. The way that they have covered things and exaggerated things has been so bad for the American public's health, overall health, mental and physical, that it's been totally irresponsible.
Absolutely, you are correct. But they do not care. They have their personal agenda, a vendetta, if you wish, to look against the president. And so they are doing their best to influence people with lies. You have all known people from time to time who do this, who do bad things because it does something for themselves. It gives them power over you, even if it does not make sense that they need this power over you. But if they can bend you to their will, that makes them feel good, that they have created something, they have done something, and they feel that it is simply their desire to do this. It is not their desire to help the people. It is their desire to sway you to what they think you should think and what you should do, rather than try to look at it objectively, give you the freedom of choice that you deserve and is part of your heritage as being a manifestation of God. God has given you the ability to have free will, to make your own decisions and to work and create your own life. He's given you that possibility to create. And so they are trying to, I do not wish to say they are trying to be God. They are simply exercising power because they have been indoctrinated in a certain way and they have a certain belief. And this belief may be irrational, but it has been adopted by themselves. And so they believe it strongly. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's not the good news, but I think it's truthful. You can't help but feel compassion for other people in society who are so afraid because of what they've been hearing. They're just terrified, and I feel very bad for them. But yes, it is as you say.
All you can do is for those individuals, when you run across them, to share your beliefs that things are not as bad as the news media has said to you, and that by whatever it is you wish to tell these people, that perhaps you can raise their own confidence and make them more comfortable with their ability to avoid becoming ill or seriously ill. That for the most part, people are now surviving having had the virus. They do not succumb as much as they used to because the doctors and therapists and nurses have all learned a great deal about treating this virus. And so they are more able to affect a return to good health within the patients. So it's like many other diseases, the body will heal itself, given a little help. Sometimes is all it needs for it to heal itself. And that if you tell these individuals that you may run across who have been frightened so badly, that your belief is that it is not as bad as they have been led to believe, and give them a few statistics or reasons that for why you feel that way, you will at least help those individuals, which is a great service.
Thank you very much.
Are there other questions?
Runkar, if no one else has a question at the moment, I have another question. It's Tanya.
Yes, thank you, Tanya.
I do some spiritual work. I do SRT, and I have clients that call me. And one of the most common questions I think I get, they want to know their purpose. They say, should I do tarot? Should I do pendulum? Do I become a medium, a psychic? And I know you've touched upon Runkar channeling, and some are gifted with that, and it's not for everybody. How do you direct us and those who ask me, do we just free will choose, or some more inclined and gifted in other things? Leave it up to God? It's very confusing to me when that question comes across my path.
Yes, Well, everyone comes in through the same purpose in life. And you see, most people, when they are asking you that question, they are thinking there is something special to do. And so they may be confusing purpose with thinking that moving into some metaphysical discipline, it sounds like, when you speak of tarot or maybe the mediumship development or something along this line, that they think that everyone needs to do that. Everyone, and I stress that everyone has the ability to be psychic. Everyone, because it is a natural part. You have been given the senses and the ability, it just has not been developed. And if you look at your Bible, there is a section in which people speak of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And the gifts of the Holy Spirit are listed as being psychic and being able to speak in tongues and being able to interpret tongues and to make miracles and do healing and things like this. Everyone has that ability. And if they choose to develop it, they can quite easily. But the purpose for an incarnation is for you to lead a happy, productive, healthful life in which you succeed and prosper. And along the way, you also enable others to succeed and prosper. That is the purpose of an incarnation, to lead a happy life. And that may seem trivial, but it is not. It is very difficult to lead a happy life. Think of your own life. Little mistakes, things that went wrong, big mistakes. Were you happy or were you unhappy? Most people manage to create quite a bit of unhappiness for themselves through their perceptions and the way they believe things should be. And this is part of the challenge of a life when you come in. You choose your parents. You choose your time of birth. You choose the society you wish to be born in for the challenges you will either receive in that society and also for the blessings that come to you as maybe as determination, as their philosophies, their guidance within that community, within that group, within that society. How? Because all societies have good parts as well as some areas we don't like about the societies. And the thing is, you choose that background for yourself, for you to try and live a happy, productive, healthy life. Now, some people may have come in and chosen severely crippled bodies or bodies which are deformed, or they're blind, or they do not hear properly or cannot hear, that they are not healthy at all times. These people have come in for the challenge of overcoming those challenges and still living a happy life. For many people who are disabled in some way or another are also very happy. Their disability has ceased to affect them. They have learned to transcend it and to enjoy what they experience in life. That is a truly well-lived life. To have chosen to come into a body which is deformed in some way and not functioning properly, but to still lead a good, happy life, is truly a successful incarnation. But just for the average person, you are always doing something that is slightly wrong, always making decisions that don't work out the way you thought they should, listening to other people and doing things that other people want you to do. to being as other people say you should be when you have a different desire within yourself. Your desire may be to be a musician. It may be to paint or be an artist. Now, maybe you can't make your living in those ways, but you can still enjoy doing them in your life. So you take a job which earns you the money that you need to buy the food that you need to live comfortably, and you will take the time to fulfill those creative desires within yourself which compel you to paint or write or compose or play. That is a beautiful life that has been successfully lived. And for most people, it is a struggle at the same time. It is not so easy to just commonly live a great life. And that is the purpose of every incarnation. Because by understanding that you create your world through your own perceptions, meaning XYZ happens, the virus happens in your lifetime. I mean, everyone who is current on this planet has chosen to be here while this virus is running. It was probably known to them before they came. And how are they going to react to it? Now, this is a challenge. How do you handle this situation? Just as the last was said, some people are so frightened by it, and others are not. But we all have to respect one another. We have to do our best not to infect ourselves and not to infect other people. So that this is a challenge at this time. How do you live? How do you give up doing everything you've always loved to do because you can no longer be in intimate relationships with one another? You must keep your distance. And your government has told you you cannot go to the beach, you cannot go to the store, you cannot go into a restaurant to eat. And all the people who have lost their jobs and the ways in which they make their money to pay for the things that they need in life. This is a challenging time. And yet everyone who is on this planet chose to be here at this time to experience this. And if they can do so with smiles and happiness and still say that they are enjoying life and creating a great life for themselves, that is a successful incarnation. It is one of the hardest things to do. Anyone can become psychic and develop their psychic abilities. Anyone can become a writer. Anyone can do healing. Anyone can do anything that these people are asking about. And so you can share with them, if you wish, that their purpose is to live a happy, healthy, productive life. And that if they do that successfully, they are successful. And they can do that any way they choose, by being a mother, by being a parent, by being a teacher, by being a doctor, by being a nurse, by being a bum. If you are happy, you are successful. Chances are, if you're a bum, however, you're not successful and you're not happy. You may have drugged yourself into thinking that, but most people would not brand that to be a happy, successful life. So all you need to do is to realize how difficult it is in an ordinary life to be happy with yourself, with your decisions, with your work, with your children, with your spouses, with your friends. For it seems to you that people always disappoint you, but it is you who are not compassionate, understanding, and who are not willing to give up your perceptions and your viewpoint to allow them to be the way they are. And you cause yourself pain and suffering through your judgments. So that is the answer for those people. And I hope that the rest of everyone on the line who is listening tonight can understand how difficult it is to live a truly happy life and know that they are being applauded for doing so. Are there other questions?
Hello. You just mentioned about speaking in tongues. Now, I remember, I think it's a Seventh-day Adventist church that supposedly they speak in tongues. And I heard a recording of one and it made absolutely no sense at all. So I thought, is speaking in tongues meaning languages or something else? What is that?
Yes, well, sometimes it is languages, but as often as not, it sounds like gibberish to most people. And so then the next gift of the Holy Spirit is the ability to translate tongues. So you can have two people, one of them speaking in tongues and someone else who tells you what they are saying. They have the ability to hear and see it and interpret it. So those are two gifts of the Holy Spirit as they have been outlined in the New Testament. So I would not.
Thought it was all fake.
Excuse me?
I thought it was all fake.
I do not call it fake, but gibberish simply means to me that they are speaking a language that no one else knows. And the other gift is that there's someone there in the same congregation who then will translate for everyone else what this person has said. Now, this is part of the imagination. I will say, give you that. You may think that the person who thinks they are speaking tongues may not truly be speaking any language you have ever heard or will ever hear or exist upon the planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But this is of no importance to these individuals. They have gotten themselves into an ecstatic trance, if you will, and so they are babbling.
And is their babbling mean anything? Is it actually coming from Holy Spirit? Are they trying to tell us something, or what the heck is it?
I would not worry about it because not everything that is written in the Bible is meant to be taken literally.
Oh, so what they're babbling is supposedly stuff from the Bible?
Not necessarily. They could be believing they are giving good advice. You may assume you could easily call these people less than sane in that particular moment.
Oh, so I don't need to take them seriously.
I would say that you do not. You can always listen to the person who is interpreting the words and see if his words make any sense. And if they are helpful, then assume that this has been very good. You have heard a situation where someone was inspired by Spirit to make unbelievable things you could not understand, but the person who interpreted it correctly has told you something that is valuable to yourself. So if that is the situation, you take it. Otherwise, you just look at the person who is babbling because you do not understand what they are saying, and it is of no importance. Does that make sense to you?
That makes more sense. Yes, that's okay. That's kind of like reading the Bible, because some things didn't make any sense, but other things kind of gave your message.
That's right. And you will read the Bible. As you read the Bible, if you are in need of a message, you will frequently find the answer that you are seeking, as it is with many books. When you need an answer, you can, or if you need an answer and you ask God for your answer, God will answer you in some way. It could come from your reading the Bible. It could come from your reading the dictionary, or it could come from somebody you happen to talk to or listen to on the radio, where suddenly something makes sense to you and it's the answer to your question and your desire. That is how Spirit works.
Okay, so then basically we just need to keep aware and keep listening for something.
Yes, after you have asked for it. I need to understand why, or I need to know I need some help. And someone will give it to you it will come to you in some way. If you believe in it, it will come to you. Ask anyone who truly is, as always ask spirit for answers. They always find the answers, and they come in different ways.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there other questions?
You know, I always have questions, but a lot of my questions never got answered. And I've talked about this with you before about a lot of experiences I've had, particularly at night, as I'm sleeping or I'm woken up, or I find myself in another plane of existence, you know, on the astral plane or whatever. And then my question has always been the same: who am I with, and for what purpose? And you know, are they for my highest and best good? You know, I guess it goes back to the soul origin. You know, we are all souls that have, I believe, manifested from other places off world. And so I still ask the question, you
What did
know.
you get from the experience when you woke up and you found yourself in another plane of existence? What were you feeling? That was the purpose of whatever was happening to you. If you are telling me that you felt nothing and you're wondering what significance there was, it was not significant because you felt nothing. If you were meant to get something from an experience, you would have gotten it. It is possible that you were dreaming. Your subconscious mind was connecting this for you. It woke you up, but was still in control, and you were still feeling whatever it had for you. So the question there is, if this is always happening to you at night, these answers are within your subconscious mind rather than trying to create something else out of them, thinking they conform to some other aspect of information for yourself. Why? You need to ask your subconscious mind, why did you create this for me? Why did you show this for me? And then wait for your answer to come to you. And I am sorry if the answer has never come to you, but I am willing to make the statement that the answer was simply not what you wanted to hear. And so you disregarded the answer. For not everything that happens to you is of great, powerful significance. If it is, you feel it right then and there. And if it is not, you do not feel anything, then it is not a significant experience. What is the good of going through something which has no meaning to yourself that you cannot fathom? So therefore, it is not meant to be significant. You would not have it otherwise.
Well, I've had emotion from sheer terror to absolute exultation, and from anything in between in the years that I've had these experiences. And I've told you many of them. One that I thought I went before God, and Denise had the same experience when that used to come to circle. You said that wasn't God. I went through the wall. I was almost going through the wall. This must have been several months ago now. And I just said, no, I'm a sovereign being. I don't know what this is about or what's going on. I opened up my eyes and boom, I was back in my body again. There are other times I was healed by healers, and many other experiences in between. I felt myself upside down at times, or in a room and I'm spinning in the room, or I'm on a gurney and I'm going through the corridors of a vessel of some sort. I can go on and on and on. I have yet to have the answers as to any of this. Oh, or another one was I was pulled out of like, it felt like a cocoon. Just, that's all I can describe it.
You have to look at all these experiences within the dynamic of what is happening in your life at that time. If you have been pulled out of a cocoon, in which way have you come to new knowledge? What have you experienced that opened your eyes? Because if you were in a cocoon and being transformed, you would be a new individual. So what happened in your life that changed your life at that moment? It could have been something fairly trivial as opposed to being momentous. But even trivial changes in your life change your life. New perceptions, new understandings. So these could be going over things that happened in your life or that were about to happen in your life in that day, where would be similar to being pulled out of a cocoon, where you are being brought along you said a gurney and down corridors in a ship of some sort. It's the ship, you have to look at the elements of it, because this is an aspect of the dream state that you are speaking of. That what is the boat? The boat is a vehicle that carries you somewhere. And it is a simile or a representation of somewhat helplessness, but being brought to a new realization, a new place for yourself. That's a new place in your mind. You have been going over many things in your mind, and so you felt that you were traveling on a gurney, and maybe you did not feel as you were thinking these things that you were in control of your thoughts, but these were things that were being fed to you by your subconscious mind. So you have to look at these happenings in relationship to what's going on in your life to see if there is a significance there. For most of those are reflections of something that is happening around you and are the results of your emotions, as well as, yes, your emotions and your feelings in the situation. When you are unsure what something means that has happened in your life, this can be reflected in these type of experiences you are talking about. And reflection upon them at the time they happen to you is to think about what you were feeling when this was going on, and how did that relate to your day or your week or your month, or what was busy happening in your life. For many people, most people feel somewhat powerless for many of the things that happen around them in their life. You are certainly powerless at this point in time with the COVID virus and all the rules that have been pushed at you for your behavior. And so you conform to things and you do what's there, but you're not sure whether you're doing the right thing or not. You don't know if the person guiding you is giving you good information or not. There are so many things you don't know. And so these things can be manifest in these types of dream waking states that you are experiencing, and they must be viewed in view of what's happening in your life. And then you need to interpret them to, what was the meaning for this for me? Because they are individual to you. They are not necessarily of any value to anyone else. I'm sorry I cannot be more helpful.
No, that's very helpful, as you pointed out some things that I didn't give a thought about, what was going on at that time in my life. I don't want to feel that I'm being strung along by negative forces, as it were. I'd like to feel that, like you said, the reflection of what was inside of myself, and then it projects outward. So
these are not necessarily negative forces, and they are often not, they are not meant necessarily to be negative, But if you are experiencing some difficulties or are unsure or unaware, this type of atmosphere tends to bring out subconscious mind answers, and that the subconscious mind speaks to you most readily while you are sleeping and in the dream state, so that these can be reflections of what you have experienced in that day. It could also be, I don't want to put warnings as the word, but indications of what is going on or what is happening around you or what will be manifesting in your life. For many people, are very clairvoyant in their dreaming, and it is possible that some of what you are experiencing is coming to you. And they are not meant to be warnings as much as they are meant to be helpful, or they are simply reflections of the way you have felt. Because transiting emotions come and go within the physical body. They are triggered by the thoughts of the mind. And as a result, when you are under stress, there are many things going on in your mind which travel through very quickly, which you do not necessarily take the time to think about, but they're there briefly. And as a result, they can trigger manifestations in your dream states, such as you are speaking about, and waking up with these thoughts, these ideas, these sensations as a result of other things that have happened in your life. And I think if you think about it, when you have these experiences, you may be able to say, that's what that is. I remember thinking this today, and this is how it felt. And all you were doing, in a sense, was reviewing your day through an emotional feeling. Maybe not words, not dialogue, not dream, but just as a sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. I can. Yeah, I totally get that. And just for the sake of the other listeners, I've had miraculous healings in the night as well. It wasn't all, of a negative nature. I woke up healed numerous times. And with that, I'll leave that for the next questioner. But thank you.
A wonderful experience to wake up healed.
Yes.
Suddenly feel better, whether it is on the physical level, whether it is on the emotional level, at whatever level it is on, to wake up and know you are healed.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? Well, no one is unmuting themselves and has anything to say, so I will adjust. Robin, did you have one more question?
Well, I guess, yeah, I do. And so I apologize if this question has been asked already of late. Talking about earlier with affirmations, my one child keeps saying, oh, I'm going to be coming back from school, or we're going to, he attends college. I don't expect to be there the whole time. What is the trend with collective consciousness at this moment? Two things. First thing, do you think the college kids particularly will get through the semester? And I guess the second, I know you don't like to give political answers in the way that the dominant vibration, but will Trump at least does he have the highest vibration of getting reelected or not? I know they're two very vastly different things, but those are the only last two questions I have. And thank you.
You have two questions. It seems one is about your son who is away at college. Were these questions that he was asking of you? I was not clear.
Well, he keeps, drumming the beat of, I'm going to come home, or we're going to have to learn in, our dorms, and, doom and gloom, exactly the opposite of what you were speaking and others tonight, just beating the drum of negativity and
Yeah, all right, stop there.
whatnot. So, and I
Stop
don't want to
there.
feed the beast. Yes.
So he keeps calling you, or in conversations in some way or another. He is expressing a negative viewpoint, such as they're not keeping him at college.
Well,
And-
he's home. He's home now, but he expects to have to soon after heading back to college, not finishing the term.
oh, he's thinking that his term will be interrupted.
Correct.
Oh, well, you can tell him that the college would not permit that, because then you would demand your tuition money back. And that would not be a good situation, would it? So therefore, his fear is most unlikely, even if the COVID virus should become more plentiful, they will figure out some way of completing the term for him. Because otherwise, they will have a lot of parents and students who will be demanding a refund on their tuition money, or wanting to know when they will be finishing their course so they can get their credits. So there is no need for him to be so dramatic about it and think about the worst part of it. And all you can do is make a statement to that effect and tell him that he shouldn't be worrying about such things that are most unlikely. And if he is really worried, and if he doesn't want that to happen, then he just has to say, well, I'm not going to have that thought. They will finish out the semester. I will learn everything that I need to know, and I will do well, and I will get all my credits. That way, make him have a good, tell him not to be silly, and to make this affirmation for him, and tell him you want him to say that too, and not to think this way. And the last question was somewhat different. And what was that again? Are you asking about the election for the president?
Yes. Yes,
Oh.
because the negativity, as another participant tonight spoke about, the narrative of the media. And of course, they do have an agenda. And I think most people, even somewhat blind, I don't mean physically blind, but,
I understand.
just blind to the truth of what's going around them. I think we're all really seeing, and hopefully there'll be a shift in humanity. But what is the story with Trump getting a second term?
You are correct in that I don't give those predictions. And you may remember that from other elections, but
Yes, I
don't
do.
give predictions because they are subject to change and interpretation. And if I make a prediction, and it is necessary for you to vote one way or another to make my prediction come out, and I predicted that what's going to happen is the way you want it to happen, you may not bother to vote. And then you will, through your action, you will have changed what I have said. So we do not make predictions about such things as voting. And I will only say that while you are getting closer to the election time, many people have not already determined who they will vote for. They are simply not making decisions at this time. Most people make their decisions later. And it is only those who are subscribing to one philosophy, that the president is terrible, that know that they will vote for anyone but the president, or the people who know that the president is wonderful and they will definitely vote for the president regardless of who wins. It is only those people who have their minds made up at this time. So we are not going to affect your elections by making predictions. And any psychic who makes predictions as to who is going to be the winner is probably falling prey to their own desires in their subconscious mind. And may not be accurate. So don't bother listening to anyone who is predicting what they believe to be true, because it is a reflection of their own thoughts.
So true. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, if there is anyone else who has a question?
I have a question for Dr. Benjamin.
Well then,
Quick one.
okay, well, I will say goodnight. Juan will come back briefly, and then Bob will ask for Dr. Benjamin. So hold on, please, one moment. And I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. You wanted to?
Yes, can I speak to Dr. Benjamin?
Yes, I will get him for you. One moment, please. Good evening. It is I, Dr. Benjamin. How may I be of service?
Well, Dr. Benjamin, I'm sure you're aware I have glaucoma. And I've gone through a recent operation. Actually, at the very beginning of the shutdown, I went through a very intense operation where they put a stent in my eye to drain some fluid out to control the eye pressure, since it seems that is a last resort. And when I went back to the doctor, he was actually disappointed because he felt that it's not working. And he mentioned that there was scarring around, I guess, wherever they put the stent. And I'm a believer in I have the ability to change according to using the power of my God self, affirmations and so forth. So he has advised me that I'm probably going to need another operation to put in another stent, which I really don't want to do if I don't have to. I really, really don't want to do it. But that's beside the point. That's like question number 2 in a sense. But I've been doing some very intense healing on myself. And is there any way that you can tell if this stent is beginning to work, or if some of those scarring things that he's talking about have been dissipated?
One moment. In spite of your healing that you have been working on, knowing that it is healed and that your eyesight is returned in full, the truth of the matter is that not much has changed. The scarring that came about as a result of the first surgery is stopping the effectiveness of your stent. And your next question is whether or not you will require more surgery, which you do not wish. You would wish to have this problem reverse itself and become more stable. Yes, thank you for the word. However, in a sense, your eye is stable at the moment, but is not stable in the way that you wish it to be. Do you understand?
Well, there is not going to be any reversal of sight in this case. We're just trying to keep the sight that I have.
Yes, and so in a sense, it is stable. And it is hard for me to truly assess the situation. But one moment.
There is another factor in that he's trying to give me an injection, which I haven't been able to do. But I'm willing to try that if there's another injection that he could give into the eye, which might loosen things up, so to speak. I don't know if that would be more, better than trying for another operation.
I believe it was your doctor's desire when he tried to give you the injection to help this clear up the situation. You may be able to talk him into trying that again if you want to do that. But failing that, it is most likely that he is going to suggest another surgery. But for the moment your eye is stable, there is no active, it is not progressing worse for the moment, even though the pressure is high.
Okay, I guess there's not much more you can say.
I cannot, unfortunately, I cannot help you with that. And I was trying to look at the emotional cause of this situation, and I cannot find one that reflects that you might have emotionally triggered this decline within your vision. I believe that it may be, to some extent, a karmic decision that you have made in coming into this particular body. And so you will have to see what the result is of other techniques to help you maintain the way things are. I do not believe that you will lose your entire vision, but I understand that you want to keep it where it is at this time. And so I can only say that you need to continue what you have been doing, following your doctor's directions, and also to continue to affirm that you can see clearly and that your eye is healthy, and to also be willing in your life to accept all things that you may. There may be some thoughts that you have had which you don't want to acknowledge unhappiness over. And so you may need to eliminate that from your life if you can find exactly what is bothering you.
Okay, I appreciate that. I would like to find that, but that might be another discussion.
Yes,
Thank you.
I give you my blessings. Are there any more questions for me? As there appear to be no more questions, I also say to each of you, good night. I am back. Okay, well, I guess that's it for the evening. And I can only say good night. Remember, I love you all. Good night.